Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Rahila Sardar with us and a brief introduction of Dr. Rahila. She has done her bachelor's in life sciences from Delhi University and then master's in biochemistry from Jamia Hamdard University, New Delhi. For PhD, she attended International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology and received her degree from Jamia Hamdard University in biochemistry. She has served in different roles as in guest faculty at Delhi Pharmaceutical Science and Research University and currently is a founder and CEO of Vgenomics India Private Limited. With this brief introduction, I would welcome Dr. Rahila at the platform by saying thank you, Rahila.
Thank you, Raja sir, for inviting me in Research Celebrities. I'm very excited to be a part of your journey. This is a very great platform. I've gone through the videos, so this is exciting for me as well.
Great. Thank you so much for your kind words. And let's start the conversation. We always start that how and when you decided to become a researcher.
Very interesting question. Right. So you'll not believe this starts when I was in school. So my father has a background in this domain. So he's a MSc Maths gold medalist from Roorkee University, right? So he's topper throughout his journey, right? And he wanted to be a scientist or a doctor. So these are the two things he wanted to do. So he got up admission in IIT Roorkee. He published a paper, right? But it took around 2 to 3 years to during that time. I remember he said he sent that paper through fax, and then he got demotivated. Oh, it is taking a lot of time, and as a man, right, there are a lot of responsibilities which were associated. So because of some financial issues, he quit that. But he always felt, oh, I did a mistake, I need to be in a research. Then he dream about this, and when we were born, I'm the eldest one, he said I always used to ask questions since when I was born. Why Earth is in this shape? Why it's not? Why it's this? Why it's this? So he said that I want my daughter to be into a science field, whether a doctor or whether a scientist. So since my childhood, everyone near me, they used to say, hey Rahila, you'll be a doctor, you'll be a scientist, you'll be a doctor, you'll be a scientist. So that things automatically comes into my mind that I want to be a doctor or a scientist, right? So that was very clear. Nobody told me that go for biology or opt for this, because since childhood I was hearing and my curiosity was asking questions, right, learning new things. And my father used to say, always think why, what is it, he always also appeared in the IS exams, right? So all those things that brings this curiosity of going into the science domain. So I chose science, like PCMB, physics, chemistry, biology with maths during my 12th. And I was clear that I don't want to go for the this MBBS, right? But my father wanted to, right? So after my 12th, I gave the exams as well, but I'm not prepared for that. So I knew the result because I'm not prepared. I know, right? So then he said, what do you want to do? If you're not interested, I said, you always said, na, either go for MBBS or go for a research. So I want to opt for a research. I'm very much interested in research. He said, okay, just pursue whatever you want to do. Then I chose MSc Biochemistry for my master's in Jamia Hamdard. So when during the master dissertation, we used to do the protein purification, lot of mice experiments. So I was not very much excited doing that. That was oh, why I'm doing that? This is so boring kind of thing. You have to wait. Nothing is coming out, right? And so I think in the last semester, so there was one seminar. There they will give you one topic and you have to prepare for that. So they give me accidentally. So it's kind of a chit system, right? You have to pick one chit and whatever came, and you have to prepare for that, and you have to present in front of the faculties. So in chit, among all the other peoples, I got a topic of a drug designing from the bioinformatics. I never heard about bioinformatics. What is bioinformatics? So in my syllabus also in the biochemistry, there was no such like subject that is related to the bioinformatics, very basic, like the blast and all. And I got like project on the drug designing using bioinformatics. So that was new to me what to do. I was like, I got panic attacks. So I discussed with my professor. So he was the head of department who has given that topic. So I went there. I said, sir, it's very difficult for me to do this topic. I never heard about this. So he said, not a problem. I will guide you and I will help you. So I remember during the summer vacation, so there is one faculty who was working on the drug designing by QSAR development, right? So I did that internship, and that was the most, I think, exciting time. And then I realized, oh, I wanted this, right? I was looking for this. Yeah. So I thought, what, this is very exciting field that you can design the drug, you can do all the things just sitting at the laptop and you can visualize. Oh, this is so fascinating, right? You don't have to do the lab experiment. You have, so that brings my interest into the bioinformatics. And during that time I decided that I'll pursue my career in bioinformatics. That was very much clear. So next step is where to go. I don't know anyone, right? Then so there was some workshop going on at ICGB. So I attended there. So that was on protein interaction. So earlier drug designing was so fascinating. Then I saw, oh, you can change the proteins, you can do that. They are designing the metabolites by the, so so I thought, and the institute environment was great, right? When I went there, I saw all the scientists, they are very like very cool kind of person. You can talk to them, you can discuss with them. So I met with few scientists. So they said, what do you want to do, Rahila? So I said, I want to have an internship, and like I want to gain experience in bioinformatics if I'll get an opportunity like in these kind of like institutes. So they said, okay. So especially like Dr. Dinesh, he said, yeah, there are few vacancies which will be like on a rolling basis come in my lab, you can look for it. So after completing my PhD and attended the internship, luckily, so there was a position of a trainee at ICGV at Dr. Dinesh Gupta lab. So I applied there. He asked me a few questions, what you have done and all. And I cleared that interview and he called me for the internship. And the first project was also related to the drug designing for the malaria disease. So that was exciting for me, and especially the project was exciting, and also the environment of that institute. So I believe that the environment is also very important. Like the research environment and the university environment is very different, right? When you're working at the research institute, the complete environment is very good. So there I worked as an intern for around 6 months. So then I thought, I don't like, I can't continue internship for 1 year. I have to do something else. What can I do? So I'll start exploring opportunities there at ICGB only. Right. So I never wanted to go for net GRF. That was very clear that I don't like teaching, right? I don't want to go for professorship, right? I wanted to do the research that can be translated. That was the main objective, always fascinated towards getting something, right? If somebody will use your research, so that was the main objective of going into this direction, right? Then I joined algal biofuels lab at ICGB as a junior research fellow. And I was the first bioinformatic person at that lab. And he gave me very interesting project of, he identified one novel algal genome, and I have to do the assembly project. So I did that, and I published the first paper from there within 3 months. So that was interesting. I presented at Triple IT, and like I was there for 2 years. And meanwhile, I started exploring the PhD abroad, not in India, because I was clear that I have to do the PhD from the institutes which have this kind of environment. Like the labs are very good, like in ICGB, you can discuss. There is no like, this is my lab, you can't get my like reagents, very, very open kind of environment. So I remember I applied for passport during that year in 2017, right? So I said, oh, this is so exciting. Let's go for PhD abroad. I applied at several institutes, and luckily I got selected as well in University of Cambridge. So I got the offer, right, that you are selected, but your intake is in 2018, right? In October. So I selected at biochemistry department, Miss Professor Alice. I remember her name. So I discussed with Dr. Dinesh. He said, yeah, that is very good. You got selected, Rahila. I'm very happy for you and all. And like, but there was 1 year gap. So what I did is I applied for like a this EMBO workshops and conferences. So I got the grant. I went to Italy. I presented my work, and I was there for around 15 to 20 days, right? I explored. And during that time, I realized that I can't stay out of India. I have to be in India, right? But I have to be at a good reputed institute, not from the PhD. That is very clear, right? I'll not do my PhD from any university. So when I came back from Italy, I talked to Dr. Dinesh, sir, I want to do PhD, right? I don't want to go to Cambridge. Can I do my PhD from here? He said, Raila, like it's your decision, don't regret, right? I can give you the PhD. I'll, like, you can register anywhere. I'll help you. I was fortunate that, and I'm very happy. I never feel regret that I rejected the Cambridge and I pursue my PhD at ICGB, right? ICGB, getting the PhD and enrolled with Dr. Dinesh Gupta, getting, like, he's a, I think, sweetest person I've ever met, right? And mentor also. So I got there and I had a great experience at ICGB. My learning, I still remember I was very naive when I joined there, no idea about bioinformatics. And like during my PhD, he gave me a lot of projects, very different projects. So yeah, so that's how since childhood to the masters and from biochemistry to the bioinformatics.
Very good. And this is for all the audience that just mentioned, Raila just mentioned about this, that there are certain things which you know that what makes you happy, but that you should also be able to do your SWOT analysis and know what you don't want to do. As
Right,
wanted to do a PhD from outside India to do PhD within India. These changes, and we always say, as Rahila, as you mentioned, we have seen researchers moving out of India and then coming back within a month or three because of
right,
either homesickness or from family situation or from whatever, just because they were not prepared for this. And
right,
secondly, they have never moved away from their family, so they never realized that how crucial it is for them to be with the family and that stuff. But that is very important part which you brought, and we always discuss at Researcher Celebrity the experiences, the struggles, the challenges, and how they overcome it. So
right,
starting from your childhood, you had a clear focus that you don't want to do medical degree, MBBS.
right,
Then when you thought of pursuing a PhD, you were like, okay, I don't want to be on the bench. That was
right,
another, checklist that, okay, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. So then you discovered bioinformatics, which
right,
gave you everything what you have today. So
right.
now talk let's talk the journey of PhD at ICGB and what you can share with the aspirants who want to pursue their PhD and are in India thinking of doing outside, or how you can say that based on your experience, how that changed from outside India to within India.
Very interesting and difficult question as well, right? Right. So, especially, so I would first start answering your first question. That is my journey during the PhD and my experience. So, what I think what today I am here, I am running a company that is because of the PhD at ICGB that plays a crucial role, the credibility of ICGB, the exposure which I have received at the ICGB, and the experience which I have gained. As I told you, Dr. Dinesh has given me diverse kind of projects. So my thesis was on identification of drug target of malaria. So I've completed my PhD work within 2.5 years. So all the requirements I fulfilled that. And he always gave me the TB project. Hey Rahila, write a project on cancer. Worked on the starting of the systems biology to the drug designing to the NGS. You just stay, and I've done everything. So earlier I was like, oh, why he's giving a lot of like different tasks I've never worked. So I sometimes I felt I'm overburdened. But today I realize that like he has played a very important role in my life, that he has given me that diverse and like different kind of task. That is one important thing. The second question which you asked is uh, about the PhD in India and going abroad, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I felt is everyone knows from inside what they want, right? There are a lot of people who discovered at early stages. Some lot of people discover when they faces those situations. In my case, I have realized during my master's, not master's, when I went to Italy, that I want to pursue my PhD here in India because of family and other reasons. But it's not like like going abroad is bad or good. So if you, what I believe, felt is, and what I am seeing nowadays is, if you are very clear, if you want to do a good science and a deep science, right? If you don't want to face difficulty related to the funding, and if you want to have a good research publication, lot of exposures, then India, there are certain institutes in India which are doing that, but you should go like outside India, because I have seen that there are lot of technologies that has been developed in US, in Europe, like researchers in India, they never even heard about that. So that is one thing. But if you want to do something here in India, right, especially the translational side or some research, I think you are at the best place. Like India is moving so fast in terms of research. Opportunities are increasing, right? So, but you have to decide what you want. You want to go in a research, want to pursue your career in research, right? You have to publish. So I have seen a lot of people, their aim is to publish good research papers, right? I have seen a lot of people who want to translate the research. I have also seen third kind of people who want to earn money. So you need to have the clarity what you are looking for. So you have to justify yourself that I have joined PhD, why I have joined. So my belief is that joining a PhD, join a PhD if you are passionate about science. That is very, very important. That should be the first objective. Don't join PhD because I'll get a PhD degree and I'll get a very good job and I'll earn a very good salary. So that is not a scenario. So that's my belief in that.
Absolutely. No, I think the questions Raila just raised and a little bit answered about that, that funding is a real crunch. Sometimes in state universities or at research institutes. So if you are thinking and if you can actually avail, like you are okay with that, that you are not under any financial crunch and you have the leverage, then you can pursue your passion in anywhere. But if you
Definitely.
think that after doing all the SWOT analysis that you have family responsibilities, other things to take care of it, and you still are passionate about your research. So as Raila mentioned, you should always check that how is the funding situation in the research group you are interested in, and what in the past how it has happened and what are the available fundings. So if you are good for the duration of your PhD, the PI have enough funding, I think you should join them. This is if you want to do in India. If you want to do abroad, then also you should always consider that will you be able to? Is it about the cultural barrier, language barrier, or what not all? Consider everything before doing anything, because as Raila said, that everyone knows that what you need from inside and what are the things which makes you happy. At the end of the day, either if you are pursuing research or not, your happiness is the most important part, which you should always keep on the top of everything.
Right.
So now Raila, I'll ask the challenges because you explained like PhD was the smoothest thing you have done. Okay. But if I ask you that, were there any times when you wanted to quit your PhD because of the pressure, burnout, or whatnot?
Uh, uh, Not in my case.
Great.
Yeah. So like when I joined the PhD, there are certain points when I felt like it's very difficult. I can't do that, right? Like what, and one more thing is, as a woman, as a girl, so there are a lot of things that came, like if I don't have a lot of responsibilities in terms of the like the financial and money. I can pursue my passion, right? If I'm not getting funding, that's also fine. I have to pursue my career. So as a woman, you have that leverage. So I never faced these kind of challenges. Yeah, so during the initial time when I started working on Linux and started learning the programming language, like being from the biology and the wet lab and learning that, so that was the main challenge. Like sometimes I felt like, why I am doing this, this is so difficult, I should quit, right? But when I learned all those things, and then I never faced any difficulties. So I was like, just give me any project, I'll develop that. So that was the, so yeah, so initial 1 to 2 years was difficult because I was learning and understanding what bioinformatics really is. Because what I have seen is there are a lot of people in bioinformation, they are relying on the tools, right? Using the freely available tools. So that's, I believe that is a part of bioinformatics, but that is not core bioinformatics. So you should have some programming skills, that is very important. So I faced difficulties while learning the programming skills. Once I learned, then I never faced any issues. So I was fortunate, like happy to go kind of PhD.
Nice. This is very important. And again, this is for the audience that we believe that PhD always tells you to push your limits. And as Raila said, starting from that thought that I should quit to that now I'm prepared, you give me anything and I'll take it and I'll do the best with it. So this is how PhD transforms you as a person, as a researcher. So now
Yeah,
let's talk to the entrepreneur in you, that how PhD has trained you as an entrepreneur.
very interesting question, Dr. Raja. So when I was doing my PhD, right, as I told you, initial time was tough, and then when I learned, I was like very interested in developing the projects, not just working on the task. I always love to lead that task, right? So that was my inbuilt character that I figured out during my PhD time. That if somebody is giving me just done this small part, I'm not that much interested. If you'll give me a project that you have to design that, then I'm very much interested to like execute from end to end. So during my PhD, I published the papers, but I saw that there is no citation which are coming, right? Nobody, if nobody, so I felt that if nobody is using your, is my research, so what is the purpose of, right? It is just addition, one more addition in the PubMed. Yeah. So that was my thinking. So I thought that's not what I wanted, and that's not why I joined PhD. So I remember, so during the COVID time, I thought I have done with my PhD work. I have 2 years of funding. What to do? Let's start working on COVID, right? So I started working on COVID out of curiosity. Just try to understand, like everybody is dying in Spain and Italy and other countries. So this is a serious situation. Let's try to understand what's going on from the science point of view. So what I did is I start reading about that. So that was not a PhD research part. I never discussed with Dr. Dinesh as well. So out of curiosity, I just explored, and I found a database, which is a database of all the COVID viruses, or like the genomic database of the COVID's strain. So what I did is I extracted the data from different countries, and I try to understand what's going on from the genome point of view. So what I have seen is all over the world, people were focusing only on identification of mutations. So I did that, right? But I thought that why only mutation? Let's try to understand about the host immune response as well.
Yes.
Because it's a viral infection, it might be playing some role. Let's understand that. And that idea came because when I was working on the COVID project, I was working on identification of the host response in some other research project which I was doing. So I thought, let's replicate this application here in the COVID. So I did that, and I got interesting finding. So I went, when I have compiled all the data, I presented to Dr. Dinesh, see, this is very interesting finding I'm getting, and that is specifically related to the Indian people. So there were only two patients data that was released from the India, from the NIV. And Dr. Dinesh said, yeah, this is interesting, Raila, but there are a lot of controversies which are going on. So we have to be very careful. Like, it's an international organization. So I need to take the permission first. It needs to be reviewed by other people. So I have sent to him at, I think, in January, and then he has sent to different people at ICGB, to headquarters and all. And finally he said he agreed. He said, Rahila, but I will send this paper at bioarchive first, right? Let's try to understand what other people are saying. I said, okay, that's fine. So he published at 21st of March, right? And 22nd of March there is a lockdown, right? And in my paper, I like postulated and concluded that on the basis of two patients' data, that the first wave which are coming will not be that devastating what we are seeing in Spain and Italy. And right, because we are Indians are having some kind of host MIRDs, which will help, like, which is related to the immune system, right? So fortunately, that paper got tweeted by our MP Subramaniam Swamy, right? And it got viral, right? Then a lot of people start reading about that. It got viral in Twitter as well. So that was the main turning point. And I got a lot of LinkedIn requests from people like the Apollo people, other hospital people. Oh, this is very interesting findings. We are working on designing the PCRs from your results and all. So I found that, like, now people are translating my research. This is so interesting. I always wanted to do that. Yeah. So so my work got featured in various newspapers as well. I got interviewed by The Wire, BBC India, and all. So I realized during that point, this is the thing I wanted. Right now, I'm very clear. Now I can see that this work was just out of curiosity I have done. People are using that. Until now, there are 66,000 PDF that has been downloaded for that paper, right? So I decided, I said, now my PhD is over. Let's work on developing something that can be translated. So I was at the last year, my work was completed, and started figuring out what work I'll do that can be translated, right, at ICGV only. So I decided I'll start working on through the preventive genomics, like. So that was the main turning point, I can say, is that during the COVID time, when my paper got viral, I got connected with people, they motivated me, and I decided to start a company where I'll do the translational research. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is very interesting journey. So now if we will say that curiosity has actually, your childhood curiosity have landed you where you are today. So
Right.
if you can tell that what Vgenomics does and how it operates in India, what are the what were the challenges when you were thinking of starting a company as a
Right.
researcher? Now we have seen this as a trend that researchers just after their PhD or during their PhD actually start a startup, and
Hmm.
most of them doesn't make it past 2 years or 1 year, some of them. But you setting an example so that more people can get motivated, also can get guidance from you, so that they can turn down their failures and move towards the success.
Well, yeah. So very interesting question, Dr. Raja. So I told you, like, at the end of my PhD. So I decided very clear, right, that I want to start a company, right? What I'll do, that was not clear. So I started meeting people, random people, right? So I just got an idea that I will work onto the preventive genomics. I start reading. So I found a company based out of US. So what they were doing is they are collecting the saliva. From the saliva, they are identifying the DNA, And then from that, that they will tell you that you are predisposed to certain diseases, so that you can take some preventive measures. Yeah, so that was exciting. I never heard about that product. So I started meeting with various kind of people just to understand they know anything about that, have an idea. So I met with people, I discussed that, hey, have you heard about this kind of product? What do you think if we will develop something like that, where you just put your saliva, will collect, and we will tell you that in future you will develop these things. So I find that people are interested. Oh wow, this is very exciting and interesting. So I found that, yeah, like users are interested, right?
Mhm.
So I can work in this direction. So after understanding the people need, I started a company and launched first product that is onto the preventive genomics. So I designed a saliva kit, and and also a developer test. So the when I incorporated this company, the second problem and the major challenge was to have the team and the money. That was the main challenge. Okay, you can't start a company or on your own, right? You need support, you need a lot of people. Team plays very important role. So when I was doing PhD, so I did one project with Dr. Preeti. So at and as a consultant at Adapt Immunoinformatics US. So she just called me randomly and she said, what are you doing nowadays, Rahila? So I said, I have started a company that is into the preventive genomics. So that's what I'm doing. So she said, oh, that's exciting. Like I'm here in US from last 36 to 37 years, always want to do something, but I never got anyone like who is working in this direction, right? If you are, I want to join you. So I was very excited because she's having around 200 US patents and 30 years of experience, and she wanted to be a part in my company, right? So I said, yeah, sure, let's start together. So that's how she onboarded us, and we developed that product. And then I started meeting with people, like discussing about a product, what do they feel that is useful or not, what improvement I need to make. So I started that. But what I felt is, after I think 3 to 4 months I did that, like from my own money, okay, this product needs a lot of awareness, because that's a preventive, and the cost is around 14 to 15,000. Only limited population can use that product, not every Indian can use that. Yeah. And that needs a lot of marketing as well, and marketing needs money. So I thought, I think this is not a good product, and I don't have expertise in marketing, and that is good, but I wanted to do something that can create some impact. So I thought about it, and I applied for a grant at Illumina, and we got selected at Illumina Cambridge. So I thought, on which, and my task is to collect the samples from India, and I have to go to Cambridge to process those samples, to analyze and all. So I talk to different clinicians, and you know that clinicians, to get the samples from clinicians is very very difficult, right? Fortunately, they all have given me this rare disease samples. So I took the samples, I went to UK, and when I was doing the sequencing there, so they said, oh, like, or what disease these samples are. I said it's of rare diseases so they said, hey Rahila, this is very interesting, this field is still less explored, but a lot of opportunities, right? Especially in India. So like 100 million people by rare disease in India, there are around 450 million people worldwide who are affected. So one fourth of the rare disease patients are from India only. So this is a huge number, and we are becoming hub of rare diseases. So they said it's a very good opportunity. We haven't seen any people, right, dedicated company who are working into this domain. So that's how I decided. I read about that, and I chose that I have to focus on the rare diseases, because the problem with the rare diseases are it takes around 4 to 5 years for the diagnosis, right? And it mainly affects children. 70% of the affected individuals are children, right? And when I just saw some of the kids, like I got connected because I'm a mother, so I'm scared as well. So I decided, now I have to focus on that. I have to solve the problem of the delayed diagnosis. And 95% of these diseases do not have therapeutics options. So I have to work on the therapeutics development as well. First is like the providing the accessibility to the available therapeutics option, and then ultimately work onto the therapeutics area. So that's how my journey. And like I faced issue related to the funding. Like I went to different investors. I pitched to them. I made a team. Apart from Dr. Preeti, there are a lot of clinicians who joined us in a team. And next is to get the funding, because investors will ask you very different question that is totally a different ball game, right? They ask me, you are very good in research, but how you'll make money, right? Passion is one thing, right? You are creating impact, that is also one thing. If I'll invest, what will be the ROI? Never heard about these terms, ROI, RRR. So I was like, they said, Rahila, you should have someone in your team who have this business background, right? Then we'll invest. So the second challenge that came is how to get that person. And like getting those person in your team is also expensive. And how you'll motivate them to join a researcher team, right? It's very different. So I started searching, and finally I got one person, right? I discussed with them, this is the company, this is the future, this is what we are doing and all. And like he worked at KPMG from the finance background, and he said, I need at least 2 months to first understand what is the opportunity. I'm working at US embassy and all, like my job is settled. I have to quit everything and then I have to join, but first I just want to understand and learn about the opportunities, then I'll confirm. So he took around 2 months to confirm, and after that he said, yeah, now I'll be a part of your company as a co-founder. So that was the third thing that happened to me. And then we went to the investors, we pitched to them. They are like excited, this is new, now you are having. So one more thing I did is, when I started this company, my goal is, one is to develop the product and to get the revenue as well, either from services or anything. So I started the services as well. So I had some revenue during first year. So when we presented to the investor, they said, yeah, you are having a revenue as well, now you have a team, so yeah, we can invest. So that was again a struggle to get the investors, right? So we got that, and we got the funding from IIM Nagpur as well. Fortunately, last year we got the funding from different angel groups, like O2 Angel Group, Mumbai Angels, and other investors joined us. So this is where we are. So I started alone. Now we have a team of PhDs, MTechs, BTechs. So we are having around 12 to 14 people in our team. Yeah. So that's where we are.
Brilliant journey, Raila. And I will tell to all the researchers who want to become entrepreneur, in their mind they already are, but there is a journey which have to be traveled. And as Raila mentioned, that team plays an important role. As a researcher, we always know that research itself is a teamwork, and you just have to transform it or translate it when you are building a company, or even a startup also. And then clinicians and researchers, they don't go well hand in hand, but people like Raila are making that impact already in there. So probably when you are approaching the clinicians now, they are more aware of your research and are more open to do the collaborations. And also one thing which Raila mentioned, that the terms like ROI, okay, and RRR, better prepare yourself with all of this before pitching it to an investor, because there
Yes.
is no way that you are not going to have these questions, that what will be your revenue model and what not all. With this, we'll say thank you so much, Raila, for this conversation. And to all the audience, we'll say stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Thank you, Raila.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. Thank you. Bye bye.